Hello, welcome back to FoxLab. I know a long time no see, and there's a good reason for that. That's the first time I'm excited to show you an excuse. For the last month, I've been busy with something special. A cheaper but better particle system for Cinema 4D. It's already out there in the Gumroad. I'll paste the link for you down. And the latest version will be updated in 2 days. It's in the bug testing stage now. With this getting started video, I'll be using that version. The next version without the bug testing. Anyway, as I said, this is a getting started video for that plugin. Let's get into it. And welcome folks. This is my initial setup for FoxParticles plugin. Before we get into this, let's clear this and I'll start from the beginning. And one back. Okay, I'm with Cinema 4D R23 right now. If you have Cinema 4D R21 and greater, it will work perfectly on it. Earlier versions will work, but there will be some problems like force won't work. Some of them have issues, some of them will work, but with R21 and later versions, it will work perfectly. Okay, first thing first, we can set up our Cinema 4D layout for this FoxParticles. I'll close this one right now, and for this panel you can see it in extension version. I just rearranged it into this group stats, whatever it is called. I have rearranged it to this. You can arrange it in your own likings. Anyway, first thing first, we need thinking particles group system. So we'll go to simulate, and I think it is in thinking particle and TP settings. We need this panel. From the version 1.16, if you press this Foxine setup, you will have a full setup, and that window will be automatically opened if it is not anywhere in your panel. Okay, let's dock it here. You can dock it anywhere you like. I like it here. And the next time you press Foxine setup, it won't be loading again. As said that, let's look at the Fox setup first. If you press this one, there will be a Foxine. Foxine is the parent group for all particles, colliders, some of the force. We'll see what all these are, but it need to be inside this Foxine. If you take something out of that Foxine, it won't work, just because it won't know what are the siblings are and all. So whatever you make, emitter or a force object or something like force event, we'll see all that, it should be in the Foxine, and Foxine will be having some groups. According to that, you have to arrange it. That is an important part. Let's see, if we put this Fox emitter outside, there will be a message here: Fox emitter is not in the scene emitters, check the scene setup. You should be putting and this here and turn it on. Now there's an emitter here in Fox emitter. In Foxine, there will be an emitter. There is a Fox collider. If we open that, there is a Fox collider here, and it is empty now. Let's look into the forces. There is a Fox force. There is one more type of Fox force there. There is curl noise. Curl noise is awesome. And there is events here. Events are the main thing of my FoxParticle plugin. We'll see that later in this tutorial. Okay, now let's look into the Fox emitter. Before that, I'm deleting this Foxine. Now let's create a Fox emitter from our panel. You can go to the extension over here. If you put it somewhere like this panel, you can use it from there. Okay, let's press on Fox emitter. Pressing on Fox emitter will automatically create a Fox emitter and put an emitter group inside that. Inside that, there will be a Fox emitter. The next time you press a Fox emitter, it will be a different emitter here. And if I move it somewhere here, if you see this as round or there is nothing here, don't worry. When you press play, it will be according to your setup. The first, I don't know why the thinking particles do that, but it won't be affecting your working flow, because whenever you hit play, it will be reset to whatever settings you have. Okay, now I have two emitters here. Let's look into the emitters part. And let's look into the attribute manager. There's basic, there's a coordinate system. And there is the object panel. In the object panel, here you set up the all the emitters properties here. Like you have a emitter random seed. If I change this one and let's hit play, both of these won't be having similar kind of randomness in this emitting setup. Okay, next one is an important one. This is birth group. Fox particles or thinking particles work with groups. That's why we have this panel here. Here it is called all. Now there is no group inside our birth group, so this both of these particles are set up into all particles. Okay, we'll see what particles group can do in a bit. Before that, we'll look into other properties here. After that, it is emitter type. Let's look into emitter types. There is two types. One it is shape and one other is object editable. This emitter type object is the first thing you notice different from our native Cinema 4D's emitter. You don't have an emitter who emit particles from objects polygon in Cinema 4D's native emitters. So let's look into that first. I'll change this to object emitter, and if I change it to that, you can see this is disappeared, but nothing is happened whenever you press play. The first one is emitting. I'll delete this one and let's rename this one for object emitter. You don't have to rename it. For this tutorial purpose, I'm renaming it to object emitter. Okay, so we need an object to emit from. So we'll create an object. Any of the object will work. I'll take platonic, and as this is, we need an editable object. That's an important one. It will only emit from an editable object. So we'll make it to an editable object by pressing C. And still it is not emitting. We need to put this under our object emitter. Now you can see it is emitting the particles from our object polygon and made our polygon hidden. This is just for this hidden thing is just in our viewport. If you don't need that, you can just turn it off from here. So it will be emitting from our object. I like it like this. It will render in our render, but it won't be seen in our viewport. Now let's go to our next options. You already have seen what this will do. And the next thing is emitter behavior. You can see this count rate short. There's a little difference. Count is relating to this life. If you put the life of emitter up to 10, you can see this is emitting a lot more than before. And if you put this to 200 or something, it will be emitting less particles. It's because the count behavior emitter, if you put it somewhere 1000 here, it will be emitting 1000 particle for the whole time. Like if we put 70 frames here, the particles will be emitting up to 70 frames. So in the 70th frame, it will be 1000 number of particles. Let's try to get the 70th frame. Okay, I passed the 70th frame, but you can see there is 1005. I don't know why that 5 is there, but around that, yeah. But it's the logic of emitter behavior count. Now let's change it to rate. Rate means whatever number you have put it here, 100 particles or 200 particles, it will be emitting 100 particle for the first second. Okay, if you put 1000 here, it will be emitting particles 1000 particle on the first second. First second will be around 30, and you can see somewhere around 1000 particles are there. The next second will be the double of that. Yeah, around 60. There is 2004. I don't know what that 4 comes from, but yeah, I think that's the leftover from the old one. You can see some of the leftovers will be on the start. 34 leftovers are here. If I press back, and 34 leftovers are there. I don't know why that happens, but it happens. Anyway, that's how rates work. And there is short will be per frame. If you press one frame by frame, you can see each and every frame there is one particles made. Okay, that's short. I won't be going in detail like this. It's just a start, so I made some some of the parts in detail you already know all these can do, because these are self-explanatory ones. Emit particles, this button is for, if you turn this off, it won't be emitting particles. If you turn it on, it will be emitting particles. This is here because if you want to animate it, like if you want to in here, you can, sorry, there is no light for sand either. If you want a particle emit stop somewhere first frame, you don't have to particle, and you need from here, you can animate this property here. Okay, I know that was confusing by because of my language, but you understand the case, right? Okay, the next one will be in which frame it should stop emitting. Now it is in 90. I'll put it somewhere 150, and it will emit up to 150 and it will stop emitting. Okay, if whatever the number here it is, let's put it somewhere 1000 frames here. If you turn this on, it will be emitting non-stop. Okay, you can see that whatever the number that it will be emitting, it won't be stopping at 150, and even if you turn this off, it won't be stopping. That's the non-stop button for here. Okay, let's turn that off now. Go back, and I'll turn back this 200. Now let's put back to count, because that's more controllable amount of particles. That's the most controllable amount of particles. And you can see the life. If you turn the life variation, it will be having different lives. The particles are dying in different times. Not all of them are dying like whenever it hit 70, it won't be lying. And size, you can't see size here. Even if I add size variation here, it will be on whenever you clone something on it. Okay, let's go to clone maybe a cube, and I'll turn that down and put a cloner in here. Now let's change it to object, and we need an object here. You can't put object emitter here and it won't work. Okay, that's just crashed my system. Let's try. Okay, it won't work, don't try that. And you need this one here, particle groups, any of the groups. This group belongs to all group now, so I'll put the all here. Now every particle is my clone. You can change into multi-instance, it will work. And if I emit now, all my particles are cloners, but still you can see the size. It has the size now, it's 1%. Let's change this for that speed variation. Sizes already have 100% variation, but all the particles are in the same size now. For that you need to change something in our cloner. You need to change the particle scale to 100%. Now you can see that size variation working. Let's turn that down. All of them are in same. Now if I turn it up, or maybe somewhere here, you can see the size variation is working. Okay, every particle is here. Every particle here has different size. The particle size won't affect the particle size here. You can see it here, but it will affect for the cloner. Now let's turn these two off, and let's look at like this one. Now we can look into the speed. You know what speed is? It's the speed of, or it's the velocity of that particles. If I change the variation, every particle will be having different velocities. Okay, for the distance now, every particle is emitting right from the these polygons, or maybe if it was our shape object, it will be emitting right from that emitter. If we change the distance to somewhere 40, it will be having an offset from that emitter. And why it should be like that? If you change this distance to variation, you can see some of them will be starting here, some of them will be starting here. So it will be helpful in some way. I don't know how it is going to be helpful, but it will. Now let's go back to our emitter type and change it to object and shape continuously. You can see some other changes in this top part. There is a shape emission. If you are in shape object, there are some more properties here, like if I change the X size, it will be changing the X size of our emitter, and let's put it back somewhere there, and Y size, you can see what is happening there, and you can change into circle. It's actually not circle, it's an ellipsoid, because we changed our X size and Y size. Let's put it back to 100 and it will be a circle. And I'm gonna change it back to rectangle. Now let's go to X angle. X angle will be 0 now. Let's put a 45 degree there, and the next emission will be having a sorry, it's in X. Okay, it will be having a 45 degree angle. If I change it to, it will be, you can change it to the 60 and it will be emitting every ways. Okay, let's change back to 0, and you know what Y angle will be, it will be on this angle. Okay, let's put it back to 0. Now the spin again, if I change it to somewhere, it is actually very sensitive. If I put it in 1, you can't see anything here, but if I turn this again, you can see our clones are spinning. If you put it in 0, it won't be spinning. If you put it somewhere 0.1, it will be spinning too fast. So fastness of spinning is not actually this value. If you put 2, it will be spinning low, because this value is actually this value is actually the seconds to get one spin. I think you get that. I believe. Let's say one spin is 360. So if you put 2 here, one cube or one particle will be turning to 360 degrees in 2 seconds. So whenever you put 0.5, it will be turning in 0.5 seconds. The next spin will be in the next 0.5 seconds. I think you get it. Okay, it has a spin variation, and now the spin is in, let's turn that back, and now the spin is in random values. Let's change it to an axis. Now you can set how much it should be spinning. Let's put 50 here, and it will all spin in that. I think it's HPB. I don't know what the full form that. Anyway, it will be spinning there, and if I put it here 180, so it will take 2 seconds to get to that spin. For our shape emission, that's all, and we'll change back to object emitter, and it will be starting from this object emitter. Now let's go back to object emission and look into that properties. There is a lot of properties here, and I'm gonna change platonic to something interesting here. Go to landscape, maybe change some seeds for artistic purposes, and let's make it to editable, because object emitter need a editable object. Let's put it in under here. Now it is emitting. Let's turn this off. It is emitting from that object and the platonic. So you can use as much as emitters in object emitter, it will work. But now I'm deleting that platonic, and I just need that object emitter, and it emitting to the normal. Okay, now let's go back to object emitter, and let's look into the options. You have a polygon selection here, so I'll make a polygon selection of landscape, maybe here, and let's go select that selection and use that polygon selection here, and it will only emit from that polygon section. It's super easy. Let's move into next one. There is a light mask here, but it won't be working right now. I'll show you how it will work in a bit. Let's go to the birth thing. Birth will control how the particles are born. Now it is in constant, so it will have a constant wherever the polygon selection is there will be a constant type of emission. What is constant type of emission, you may ask? Let's see what others are, so you will understand more and more. Let's go change that to texture. Now the particles are still emitting from all of it because there is no texture here. We can create a texture, maybe something from any of those will work. If the texture works, there will be vertex map too, so it will work too. Now let's put some gradient map here, and there is a gradient. These two gradients are different, don't confuse it with this. I almost all time put this here, like this. Some of the time we may have to control it like with this. Let's see if it comes up. Okay, let's get into this one, and I don't know why there is a I think it's from gradient. Okay, this gradient is this grade actually this is the gradient we are seeing here. We are not seeing the right now. Let's put it somewhat like this, and let's see if it is. Yeah, it's showing the gradient is actually working from here to here. To visualize more, I usually create a material here, and I let's go stop emitting the particles, and let's turn the hide object here. Now let's go to our material and create something in here. Let's go gradient, and let's create a radial one. No, I think that was circular one. Let's make a huge circle here, here, and all you have to do is copy this texture and put it here. Now let's turn back our emit particles and hide our object. You can see that black part is not emitting, but the white part is. If I go back to our object emitter, and you can invert it here, or you can invert with this. You can remap this one with these particles. Now the black part is emitting, the white part is not emitting. So this is our black parts of our texture, whatever it is. This is our white part of our texture, and you can remap it using this, and you can add more and more gradient points here too. Anyway, that's how both texture works. Now let's go to next one, the light one. Light one is interesting. It's not emitting anything right now. It's not looking to that texture or anything like that here now, and it's not emitting anything because we need a light. So we'll create a light. Maybe here I'll create a target light, and we'll put the target light. That's okay. Let's put it like this, and we'll go to our object emitter and put that light into light mask. Now the light is acting like a emitter mask. Can I move it? Okay, that's the wrong axis. I'll move it like this. Now we have an emission. If I turn this on, you can see, sorry, turn this on, you can see the light is hitting here, and the particles are emitting from the, I'll remove that gradient material so you can see. Now the light is emitting from the, if I change the light to somewhere here, it will be emitting from the, and it should be emitting from the. So the light is actually light hit, not the light part. The light hit is actually acting as a mask for our emission. Okay, let's go back to our emitter, and let's check the next one is obviously light and texture. You can use both. You know that we have a huge circle here, so it won't be emitting from that part, and it won't be emitting wherever the lights are not hitting. You can use more than one lights. I'm just using one light here, but you know what is happening here, right? Okay, let's change that lights curvature, and you can see that more we are having one of the texture mask here, and on top of that we are having a mask for our lights. And you understand now the light mask and texture thing, right? What is constant, what is texture, what is the light, what light and textures are. Now it will be getting more and more interesting with this light mask or texture mask. Not in the birth thing. If I put it in constant, it will be birth. If you use all that in this speed, life, size, distance, or even direction. Let's I won't be showing all of this. I'll just put it in the live section, and let's change it to texture now, and we'll copy our texture from here to, let's paste it here. Now as you can see, the same result. I'll turn this light off right now, and you can see the same result from that emission particle, because this has zero life in this black part. Let's change that black part here. You can change it here or even here. Let's say this is not a gradient map, it's a map from Photoshop or something else, so you can't change the gray here. You can change the gray here with colorizer or layer or something, but let's say you can change it here. You can change it from here. Let's change that brightness somewhere to 20 or 30. Now the middle part has some of the particle, but it has less life than from here, right? You get the idea, right? It will work with speed, size, and all that. If I put the same thing, copy. Now let's put it back to constant, and it is in speed. Let's paste it here, and you can see the one over here are moving too fast. Let's put it like this, and you can see the difference. In the center one has more. I think speed has some bugs. I have to correct it later. Yeah, still on the bug correction part, we will correct it in next version or the next, I don't know, because releasing date of next one is too close. Okay, speed has some bugs, and I'm gonna mark it in my page. Okay, that was embarrassing. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, that's the thing with this, all these gradients, normal. Yeah, we have different things for direction type, because it's not the constant thing and all that. Direction, if you put texture for direction, it will be turning like that. I'm not touching that because I'm a little afraid there is some bugs in it. So let's leave the object emitter now. But it will work most of the cases. I don't know if there is a bug or not. If you find bugs, please contact me. I'll work it out as soon as I can.